Good morning, colleagues. Before we can move on, please can you just react if you can hear me clearly, if I'm audible enough? Thank you for that. Thank you, colleagues, for joining. Before we can proceed with a workshop of today, I would like to notify or just to let you aware that this workshop is recorded. This is for the purpose of sharing the recording with every participant of this workshop, as well as those that didn't make it to attend today's workshop can access the recording at a later stage, as well as the presentation of this workshop. So it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's online workshop, Introduction to Digital Research Tools, Transforming the Research Process. This workshop is sponsored or organized by the Research Capacity Development Unit at the Postgraduate School. My name is Kosie Tuntuli, and I will be your moderator for today's workshop. Firstly, I would like to thank you for taking your time to attend today's session and also to support the workshops that we are providing at the research capacity. We do hope and believe that these workshops are very helpful and they do give so much impact to your research journey as an academia or as a researcher in general. This session is designed for supervisors, academics, researchers, and postdoctoral research fellows, and also postgraduate students who are looking to enhance the quality, efficiency, and innovation of their research through the use of digital tools. In today's fast evolving academic environment, it is essential that we equip ourselves with practical tools that not only simplify the research process, but also help us remain competitive, ethical, and impactful in our scholarly output. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Lorenzo David as our facilitator. Dr. Lorenzo will be guiding us on how to leverage technology for better research practices and will certainly enrich our understanding today. Before we can move forward, I would like to just go through some housekeeping rules. I encourage you, colleagues, to fully engage, ask questions, share your experiences, and take notes on tools that resonate with your needs. Please ensure your mic is muted when not speaking. I will enable all your mics. However, make sure that there is no background sound coming from your mic. And if you do have a question, just raise a hand or you can type under the chat and I will notify a facilitator that someone has a hand raised or has a question or a contribution under the chat. As I've mentioned earlier, that this workshop is recorded and we will be sharing the recording of this workshop as well as the presentation of this workshop to our RCT management system. So if you are not enrolled or registered yet, at the end of this workshop, we will be taking those colleagues who want to be registered. This is because going forward, as from next month, we will be fully on the research capacity development unit management system, which is the system that is integrated to ULink. It's available under when you log into ULink, you go under services, and the last option is RCTMS. Please do register your profile. That is where you will be accessing and be able to register for all the upcoming workshops, as well as to access the previous workshop recording, as well as the presentations. So a feedback form will be shared under the chat. We kindly request you to take a few minutes to complete it so we can continue improving our offerings. With regard to the feedback, it also ensures that you will be getting a certificate of attendance which will be now available digitally on your RCT management system. Immediately after the workshop has finished, you will be able to download your certificate of attendance. However, we are currently sending out the certificates for February and March because the system was not yet fully functional by then. So you will be receiving emails with your certificate of attendance for all the workshops that you've been attending so far for the previous 2 months. So with that being said, colleagues, now allow me to introduce our facilitator. Dr. Lorenzo David is currently a coordinator at the Research Capacity Development Unit, Postgraduate School at the University of Johannesburg. Dr. David was recently awarded a PhD in biochemistry for his assessment of transferring tech gold, palladium, and gold palladium bimetallic nanoparticles and their potential for anti-cancer drug delivery at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. By adopting a holistic approach to education, Dr. David hopes to inspire students to achieve personal and academic success with a hands-on and learner-centric approach to value-based learning. And now, colleagues, allow me to welcome our facilitator, Dr. Lorenzo David. Thank you once again for joining us. We look forward to your presentation for today, and to colleagues for making your time to attend today's workshop. We look forward towards the presentation. And as I've mentioned earlier, please engage, ask questions, and make your contributions via the chat or just raise a hand. Thank you so much, Dr. Lorenzo. You can now proceed with the workshop.
Thank you, Mr. Nkosi, and welcome everyone. I hope you all are well. We'd like to thank you once again for making the time to join us on this presentation. I will just quickly share my screen and then we can get started with the presentation. Nkosi, can you please, I'm just switching it to presenter mode. Please, can you let me know if you can hear me and if the presentation is up on the slides? The slides up on the screen.
Yes, Doc, I can see your presentation and I can hear you clearly. And the colleagues can confirm that if you don't see the presentation that is currently being shared, please, you can just log off and log in again, because usually it's caused by your network or your browser if you are using a browser. Thank you, colleagues, for confirming that. Dr. Lorenzo, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nkosi. So, colleagues, today we're going to be discussing and going through a brief introduction into digital research tools and how this is actually transforming the research process, allowing us to streamline activities and essentially work more efficiently and save time. I just want to put a disclaimer at the start of this presentation that the tools that we're going to be discussing, as we all know, can never replace human input and should never be used in place of our own intellectual, I say. These are essentially tools which help us to work more efficiently, to get more done in a shorter space of time. So just so that we can cover that. Okay, so if I can just move on to the next slide. Okay, so I think it's important for us to start off by discussing what the role of digital tools in modern research is. And I'm not going to spend too much of time in terms of the background and the importance. We will have some practical activities, and I'm going to take us to specific websites which will be discussed in this presentation so that we can get more of a hands-on approach. And we can see how exactly these tools and these websites can actually benefit us. So there will be some practical examples for us to go through as well. So quickly, if we go through the evolution of research in the digital age, if we look at a more traditional view, or if we look maybe, let's say 30, 40, 50 years ago, we'll see that there were several challenges that researchers faced. The first one would be time-consuming literature reviews. I think if many of us have spoken to many senior academics and those maybe even emeritus professors, they will explain that we don't understand how easy we actually have it in terms of having the information at our fingertips. I've had, conversations with some of my supervisors previously, and they would always highlight, they say, when we needed to do a literature review, we couldn't do it from the comfort of our own home or even, from our office. We would have to go to the library itself. We'd have to obviously identify particular books and go through that entire process. And very often you weren't even allowed to take those books and go home. So we understand that today, what the digital age has actually done is it has made information so accessible to us and to essentially almost everyone on the planet. And we can see this as an advantage. And the next step is obviously the automation and the implementation of AI. And we're going to discuss that in more detail. The second challenge that traditional research faced was data management issues in terms of, you have your output, you're storing it on, say, a file or a book or whatever else it may be. And if something happens, if it gets lost, your data is lost, unfortunately. And the last point would be issues surrounding collaboration. Now, I think moving back in the past, collaboration was is much more difficult than what it is today. Reason being that generally, if you wanted to collaborate with someone, you would most often, obviously, I've met them at like a research conference, or maybe you've been a visiting professor or something to that effect, and you've made these connections. Today, we see that in the digital age, it's much easier for us to connect. We can do this via social media platforms such as LinkedIn, and it makes it much easier. So in terms of how digital tools have transformed research workflows, they've essentially improved efficiency. They allow us to get a lot more done in a short amount of time, and it has also made the information much more accessible. So we understand that this is shifting from manual to automated. That's moving from the past to the present. And the next step would be AI-powered research processes. And that's what we're going to discuss a bit more and do some examples in the next couple of slides. We understand that digital tools actually enable remote, collaborative, and real-time research activities. So there's some apps which actually are not in the presentation, but which I'd like to make mention of. Something such as Trello, it is a management app essentially, where if you are doing collaboration on a particular project, if I'm here and my colleagues are in UKZN, or if they're UCT, or even if they are at university, let's just say in the Netherlands, Delft University, we are able to actually, in real time, obviously update the progress on a day-to-day basis, allowing us to have oversight of the entire project. So my apologies, the animations seem to have gone a bit off, but I'll just move like this, put up the entire slide. So what is the role of digital tools in today's setting, shall we say? So some of the advantages we'll quickly go through would be, as we've discussed, increased efficiency as well as saving us time. And we understand that with the pressures currently in terms of academia, which is it's happening globally, time is actually the one commodity that we have to be very wise in how we spend. So, some people may be a bit apprehensive at the thought of actually using these tools, but when we look at it as being a tool instead of something to actually a crutch, we'll see that how it can actually assist us in our research activities. So the other advantage is enhanced data accuracy and consistency. That's what doing, obviously, our analysis, calculations, that sort of thing. Improve collaboration and sharing capabilities. We've discussed this previously. Accessibility across devices and locations. And this is something which is quite nice because say you're traveling for conference or whatever it may be, and you need to perform a certain analysis, you can even log on to your cloud-based systems and perform these analysis, or even if you've got them on certain apps or websites, you can store your data and perform your analysis, etc. The last point will be data retention and reporting. So obviously we can save these to the cloud and keep them there for, as long as we need. So if there's ever an issue coming up in terms of auditing or review process, they are easily available to us. Okay, so now that we've gone through a bit of the background, let's get more into some of the practical aspects of how we can use these digital research tools to assist us in our research processes. So the first type of technology that I would like to speak of, and many of this leans into AI, would actually be for us to discuss what exactly, well, we can say what exactly is AI, but what are the different groupings in terms of people who use these applications? So all of us know AI is essentially artificial intelligence, and it's programs which have been developed, and they are taught to obviously answer certain questions and in a certain way, think in a certain way, or rather generate outputs based on your specific input. So one of the issues that many people and myself as well that had with AI was that we feel that it is limiting well, it has the potential to limit academics, especially younger students, younger postgraduate students coming into academia, because it removes the necessity to critically think and analyze because it can do it for you. So with that in mind, I want us to look at AI as not being something that is going to work against what we do currently in the university, but basically enhances what we do. So we've broken it down, and I've actually attended a workshop recently where a lot of this information was presented. So I thought it'd be quite nice for us to share it in this setting as well. When we think about AI, we often think about students using it to cheat on their assessments or any assignments that they have. And there is a lot of truth to that, but I think that in terms of AI, we need to be very careful, because if we look at the difference between a student using an AI tool versus, let's just say, your supervisor or yourself using the AI tool, there's going to be a vast difference in what is actually going to be output. And obviously, in terms of the review of the data. So if we look at a student, they don't necessarily have the baseline knowledge to actually critically analyze the output which is actually being generated from AI. If we compare that to someone like a domain expert who has, in-depth knowledge of that particular research area, they will be able to critically analyze and evaluate what is actually being generated, and therefore they can test the validity of it, shall we say, and whether to incorporate it in any presentation that they're using. So the first type of person we have will be an AI expert. So these are generally people who are strong in algorithms and technical aspects of AI. They know how to generate their prompts. They understand, what inputs to put specifically to get a specific output. However, they may lack practical application in industry settings. Essentially, they may not have the baseline knowledge. The next type of person will be the domain experts, and these are, just think of a very senior academic in your department. They have incredible knowledge of a particular research area. However, they may not be as technically gifted in terms of AI. The place that many of us would like to move towards would be an AI translator. And this essentially means that you are taking the best characteristics of each of the two that we've spoken about previously and combining them into one. So you have the baseline knowledge, you continue with the research, but however, you are able to effectively use AI to enhance your efficiency in terms of your output. So we're going to go through some examples as I've mentioned. But I first would like to bring up the issue of prompt crafting. Now, I'm sure at some stage or another, even if it was just to understand what is the fuss about in terms of ChatGPT or Perplexity or DeepSeek, whatever it may be, many of us would have actually went onto these AI platforms and tried to, let's just say, ask a particular question. Something that I didn't know until quite recently was that there are actually frameworks which have been developed in terms of how you developed your prompt or your input. So prompt is essentially your input that you're putting into a particular program. So these are some of the key points that we've identified in terms of when you are generating your input or your research question or your request to the AI program. These are some of the points that we actually need to keep in mind. The first one will be clarity in your prompts. We need to ensure that the prompt is clear, unambiguous, and it's easy to understand. The next thing would be to avoid vague or overly complex languages. We need to be as specific and be as clear as possible when we're generating our prompts. And we're going to go through an example after this. The next one will be the relevance of the context. So we need to align the prompt with the desired task or output. So we need to specify in terms of the audience or the format. So if we are generating, let's just say if you're generating a presentation for a lecture, we can actually say, if with our input, can you generate a good structure in terms of a certain topic? The audience is going to be first year students. And what it will do is, and you can obviously input all of your data into it, and it will be able to structure your presentation in a way that will be easily understood, or should be easily understood by many students. The next point would be explicit instructions. We need to clearly state the requirements regarding length, style, and structure. So if you want it to be in a formal tone, if you want it to be obviously informal, if you want it to be maximum of 100 words versus 3 pages, what is the style and structure that you're looking for? And it's always important for us to use direct instructions to guide the responses. The fourth point would be for us to allow for adaptable responses. So when you're creating our prompts, try not to be overly restrictive. Encourage flexibility in how the prompt can actually be interpreted by AI. And we're going to go through on the next slide, you'll see how we can actually ask AI questions before it actually generates our prompt. And a key thing that I want to highlight here is that when we are using AI, and especially when we are generating our prompts, it actually involves iterative refinement, meaning that the first prompt that you develop is actually not going to be your final prompt. You will develop your first prompt based on the guidelines that we're going to speak about. And thereafter, you can look at the output and you'll see, what maybe point A or point B needs to be improved. So what do? You go and you edit your prompt. And you keep doing that until you come to a point where your output is actually exactly what you're looking for. One thing that we've actually learned, and something that's good to be aware of, is that many people actually generate prompt libraries. So a prompt can take you, a long time, could be a couple of hours sometimes, in terms of, or rather, let's just say an hour. Okay. It can actually take you up to an hour to develop a good prompt, which is specific to what your output is. So many people actually save these prompts in terms of a library, and later on they can just copy paste and edit, to get the same output. We've heard of cases where a prompt can actually be up to like 1,000 characters long. So obviously, it involves a lot of thought. It involves a lot of refining as we move through it. So we will continue to experiment with different phrasings, and this is to improve the clarity and relevance of our outputs. And obviously, this is a learning experience for us as well. So we can't expect to just go onto any AI platform and say, generate or answer this research question, and just leave it open-ended. We literally need to guide the AI program into exactly the path we want it to follow. What is the tone? What is the style? What is the structure? What is the length? Who is the target audience? What is the output? What are you hoping to achieve? We need to put in all of these guidelines into the prompt so that our output is actually exactly what we're looking for. So I'd like to bring our attention to this slide, which is obviously, it is called the CREATE framework. Now, I just want to mention that there are many frameworks out there which allow us to actually develop our prompts. And this is one which I have had personal experience with, and I find that it actually works very nicely. So in the workshop, in the conference that I attended recently, we actually discussed this, and we've done some practical examples, and I've brought in some of these examples into this presentation as well. So the CREATE framework essentially guides you on how to structure your prompt. Let's go through it, right? So the first one would be character. So what role do you want your chatbot to play? So let's just say you want to perform a literature search on a particular topic. You will start off your prompt by saying, let's just say, for example, you are a PhD student in their final year and you are about to write your thesis. Can you develop, and we'll go on to what the request is afterwards. So you're setting the role of who the chatbot needs to play. So they will obviously look at the prompt from that perspective. The next one will be the request. So outline specifically in terms of the task you want your chatbot to do. So I want you to perform or generate an outline of a literature review. I want you to perform a detailed literature analysis, whatever, or literature survey, whatever it may be. The next example or the next point would be provide examples. So if you are looking to generate a literature review for your, let's just say, a paper, you can submit or provide as examples, attach previous papers that you've written so that it understands what exactly you are looking for in terms of the structure. So the more examples that you provide, it helps the AI tool to actually understand exactly what you are trying to achieve. The fourth point would be adjustments. So adding extra statements to help shape the results. This can be like, please structure it in the form, or ensure that it's no longer than 2 pages. Please have section headings, or, please provide links to references, whatever it may be. The fifth one will be the type of output. So this is essentially where you tell it how to format your output. We've just discussed that as well. So you tell it, I want it the form of a paper where you have headings, subheadings, whatever it may be. And the point that I found that was actually very interesting would actually be that of your extras. So at the end, after you've laid out the role, you've outlined your request, you've provided examples, you've made the necessary adjustments by adding extra statements, and you've outlined the type of output that you want. At the end of it, you can add in some of these extra statements, and this just can help to guide the AI tool even more. So the first one can be, if you obviously go into multiple iterations, you can say, ignore everything before this prompt. The next one could be, and this is one that I found to be particularly useful, is ask me questions before you generate an answer. And what it will do is it will actually ask you clarifying questions in terms of things that may be a bit vague to it. And once you answer those questions, it will generate a much more clear output. You can ask it to explain your thinking as well as to act like an unlike a typical AI. So we can come up with our own extras. There's many that we can find online as well to help us with this. I find in particular, like when we are working with these systems if you highlight, ask me questions, and if you say, explain your thinking and act unlike a typical AI, it actually works quite nicely, helps you to generate the desired results. So we see that they are also, I also need to add in, if there's any questions at any point throughout this presentation or this workshop rather, please feel free to jump in. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. You can literally just unmute and start speaking. Alternatively, you can actually type a question in the chat box. So we're going to go on quickly before the example on the next page, on the next slide would be some examples of AI-powered research assistants. And the two that I've highlighted here would be Perplexity and DeepSeek. Perplexity and DeepSeek. Sorry, Nkosi, I think there's a mic that is actually and I can hear some background information. I don't know if it's background sound.
Sorry for that, Doc. Yes, someone's mic was on. Colleagues, please make sure, even if you join, please make sure that your mic is muted. Unless you do have a question, just raise a hand and then we will attend to your question. Thank you, Doc. You can continue.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. I just didn't know if it was a question, so I kept pausing. Yeah, two examples that we've actually looked at here would be Perplexity as well as DeepSeek. We can throw in another example here of ChatGPT and we can do a comparison between them, right? So in terms of Perplexity, you have a function called Deep Research, and this allows you to automates in-depth literature search as well as putting something together, allows you to deliver comprehensive reports quickly. So you can go into Perplexity, and we're going to show you in a few minutes, and you can actually develop your prompt as we've spoken about in this, using this framework. And you can actually ask it to develop actual literature searches, or obviously an outline of literature search, what would be comprehensive according to your particular topic. And why I find that this is a good tool is because it actually saves you time from having to go through and search for papers individually. We're not saying that obviously Perplexity should replace you in terms of reading through everything, but even if you say, provide me a list of papers which relate to this topic. So you can say, develop an outline based on anti-cancer drug delivery. I'm just speaking on, something I'm familiar with, or rather my research. So you can say, please develop a outline in terms of literature review on the topic of anti-cancer drug delivery using gold nanoparticles. And it will develop a outline. Then you can say, please, can you link this outline and identify papers which would be suitable to further explain this particular to expand on this literature review. And what Perplexity will actually do is, as it goes through the outline, it will provide you with direct links to the papers that you will obviously be able to use. Now, the advantage of Perplexity over ChatGPT is that ChatGPT often it will give you references sometimes, but you can't always trust the references because sometimes when you search for them, they actually don't exist. So this brings up the point of, when we are using AI, we actually need to be aware of plausible hallucinations. So essentially, when AI can't effectively answer a question, it tries to logically put something together. And what it tries to logically put together sometimes may not actually exist. So obviously, everything that we actually receive from any AI tool should always be checked, verified, and critically analyzed before obviously incorporating it into any of our work or presentations, whatever it may be. So Perplexity is something I found to be actually quite helpful in terms of literature searches, in terms of identifying and further diving a bit deeper into topics. And the point is here that it saves you time. It does a literature search for you, and obviously from that point you have a good foundation for you to actually go deeper in. The next example we can speak about would be DeepSeek. Now, DeepSeek is essentially has been created by, I think, a Chinese company, and they were actually developed to rival that of ChatGPT. We do notice that in terms of research, DeepSeek seems to be much more logical in its thinking, or rather, I'll use thinking in inverted commas, much more logical in its output. So in terms of research, I would personally prefer to use DeepSeek and Perplexity over ChatGPT. ChatGPT sometimes can be seen more of a language tool, shall we say. Just in my opinion, it gives you good summaries, but in terms of linking to references, peer-reviewed sources, doing comprehensive searches, I would suggest Perplexity and DeepSeek. I've used them both, and they seem to be very useful and generate good outputs as well. So in terms of DeepSeek, we understand that this is an AI-driven platform, and this is used for discovering, analyzing, and visualizing academic data with real-time alerts, as well as advanced search filters, which is something that obviously, as we go into our specific area, is very useful. So what I'd like us to do at this stage is, if I would assume that many of you are at a laptop or some sort of device. So I'd like us to try this activity quickly, right? Just to basically further drive the power of AI. So what I'd like each of you to do, and I'll give you a few minutes for this. I think we can give you, and I'll go back to the create framework so that you can develop your prompt, would be to perform this activity, please. So essentially on your browser, what I'd like you to do is either choose DeepSeek or Perplexity. So go onto Google, you can choose DeepSeek or Perplexity. You can just go to their website. There's no sign up required for it as far as I'm aware. Or if there is, it's just, there's no payment. It's a free tool. So you go on, you log into Perplexity, and I want you to choose one of the following research tasks. So you can discuss a research idea or a problem. You can request it to develop a literature review, or you can even pose a research question. And what I would like you to do is to please speak on a topic that you have an in-depth knowledge of. The reason why I'm saying this would be so that you can critically analyze the output. So maybe one of your previous papers, or maybe the specific research question that you're working on currently. put that into the prompt and develop the prompt using the create framework. So once again, you're going to go to Perplexity or DeepSeek. You're going to create a prompt using the create framework based on a research idea, a problem, a literature review, or a research question. So I think I can give you guys a few minutes for that. We don't have to go too in detail. So I think about 2 to 3 minutes should be okay. And just for you to scan what the output is going to be. So I'm just going to go here quickly. And if you guys are okay with this, please, can we get a thumbs up? Mr. Nkosi would let me know because I'm unable to look at the reactions. And then we'll give you guys about 3 minutes to actually develop your prompt based on this framework, just so you can evaluate what the output is. Nkosi, would that be okay?
Yes, Doc, that is okay with me. Colleagues, just 2 minutes, and then we have this activity, and then in 2 minutes we will come back with our feedback.
Okay. Thank you, Nkosi. So colleagues, if I could please ask you to possibly take a picture of the framework, because I'd like to switch screens at this point to just do the exercise with you. I think that'll be much more useful. So I'll give you a minute just to take a picture of the create framework if you haven't done it already, and then we can actually go through the exercise together. Thank you. Okay, colleagues, while you are busy developing your prompts, for those of you who are done, I'll quickly just take you through. So we go into Google, we click Perplexity, and then we use the create framework in terms of generating output. So I'm going to speak on something that I have a bit of knowledge on. So you can just follow as I type into the screen.
Okay, colleagues, I think most of us are done now. Dr. David, can you hear me?
Thank you, Nkosi. Yeah, no, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, I think we can now start sharing our output, and
Okay.
the 2 minutes that we have allocated has elapsed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nkosi. I lost track of time there. Okay, colleagues, if there's anyone who would like to maybe speak on the output that you actually have, did it align with what your basically you understand? Was the information correct? Was the structure correct? And even if anyone wants to say if they think this framework is useful or if they can build on it, please feel free to pop it in the chat. Alternatively, just unmute yourself and feel free to speak. We would like to make this session as engaging as possible, so please feel free to join in. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, anyone who would like to share their output, just unmute your mic or just type under the chat, or you can just, I think there's an option whereby you can just send your picture or upload a picture of your output under the chat.
Okay, so in the meantime, I don't know if anyone is willing to speak, so we can just continue and I'll show you the output later on as well. It does take a few minutes for it to actually scan the sources that you provided. If you say that please use peer-referenced, peer-reviewed sources in terms of generating this outline, it will actually go on to, let's say, PubMed, Google Scholar. It will go onto individual journal websites, and we'll be able to find these papers there as well.
Okay, sorry, talk to interchat. There's a comment on the chat by Dr. Kofi. He said the first prompt used website sources. So I don't know if you are able to see the picture that is uploaded.
Yeah, no, I can see. So thank you, Dr. Kofi. Kofi, what you will do in this case here is that you will create a statement, add a statement to your actual prompt, and you will say, please only use material from peer-reviewed journal articles or textbooks. And then the next prompt will be, please avoid using any material from online sources which are not peer-reviewed. So like we said, we need to be as direct and as possible, basically as specific as possible. So you can try that. You guys can try that out as well. And like I said, remember, this works through iteration, meaning that your first prompt is not going to be the final prompt that you will use. So I will quickly move on. Let me stop. Okay, sharing here. Okay, so you can let me know how that goes, Dr. Kofi, towards as the presentation goes on. Okay. So hopefully this activity, even though it is quite short, hopefully it actually gave us an idea of what these tools can actually do. And we're going to go through a few more in terms of specific to literature surveys, in terms of referencing and so on and so forth. So hopefully you will find this session to be useful. Okay. So now these we're going to briefly go through in terms of digital research tools for academic research. Okay. Oh, thank you, Dr. Kofi. Okay. So we're going to go through a few examples of tools that we can use in terms of automating our literature reviews and generating these, right? Obviously, the outlines, we're talking about the outlines here. It can generate the full literature review for you, but obviously we don't want AI to write anything for us. We would use it as a tool to gather information, structure our thoughts, in that case there. So when we look at Elicit, and I will have to stop sharing and resharing my screen with you guys so you guys can follow on the actual website. So Elicit actually uses, they say here, GPT-3 and language models in order to search, summarize, classify, and extract key information from your papers. And we're going to go through an example just now. It is able to replicate your manual citation formatting automatically as well as systematically. And the advantage of this is that it enables researchers to get concise, research-backed answers quickly. So I'm quickly going to stop sharing once again. And then I'm going to reshare in terms of give me a minute. I think this is it here. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. We're going to go to Elicit. And in Elicit, what we will notice is that here you can also ask your research question to generate a literature. So let's just say, please develop a outline for articles in drug delivery. And we will be able to, it does take a few seconds, so please bear with me. So they give you suggestions on how you can actually improve or be more specific. So we'll just do that. So we can, obviously the free options on many of these tools is quite limited, but it does allow you to generate some sort of output, and you can essentially, it assists you in developing your literature review. So as we can see, the output here, it's actually going through the process. So we'll come back to this, right? Once again. So I think what would be useful is if each of you would be able to follow on your end in terms of these websites, then it will just make the process a bit faster, because once you insert your prompts, you can actually switch back to the presentation, and then we would be able to hopefully finish relatively soon. And then your prompts will obviously be generated by the time this presentation is over. So sometimes it can take up to 5 to 10 minutes, especially if it is screening through a lot of papers and searching databases and libraries. It can take a few minutes, so it's not instant, but we would rather it take a few minutes and be accurate than give us a fast output which is full of errors. So just something for us to think about. The next tool that we will speak about will be Scholasty, and this is good for summarizing and organizing your research articles. So it is an AI tool that creates flashcards, summaries, and highlights key points from academic texts. It helps researchers to stay organized with folders and note-taking features, and it also supports basically you putting your insights as well as the generation of your reference list. So for this, once again, because that's a bit quicker, we can just quickly go through the process. We go to. So when you sign in to Scholasty, you'll see it'll ask you, are you undergrad, postgrad, or research academic? Let's just say research or academic. You see, you've already concluded. So in this case here, what you are able to do is you literally go to, if you want a summary of a particular paper, if you don't have the time to read it in detail, or you actually just want to see it at a glance before you spend an hour reading the paper, is this actually what I need in terms of each section? You can download the paper, go here, upload your particular paper. You'll see once again, all of these tools take a few minutes. So please bear with me. And what we see, so this is obviously a paper that I'm familiar with. So we can there see at a snapshot, it'll tell us what the study investigates. It will also tell you what the key findings are, especially with specific stats that we may be looking to identify. It will give us what the objectives are, obviously what sort of methods were used in terms of the analysis techniques. It will summarize the results for you and give you a summary of the conclusion. So a paper which was 20 to 25 pages long can actually be summarized in terms of key findings in a screen, shall we say. And you can ask it to dig deeper on specific aspects of the paper, and it also highlights some of the key concepts for you as well. So this is actually a very good tool in terms of just scanning for the suitability of certain papers before we actually spend a lot of time going through them, to check for their suitability or if they align with what exactly we are looking for in terms of your papers. So in the interest of time, I am not going to go through too many more of these tools. I mean, like make you follow on screen, but I will have this presentation put up. I will, and obviously if you go into Google, you type in Scholasty or Connected Papers, whatever it may be, these websites will come up and you guys can actually identify them. The next one we'll talk about quickly is going to be your referencing management. Yep.
Sorry, Doc. There's a question from Dr. Kofi. How many papers can you upload per day?
Okay, I think on the free version, it will be limited to under 5. But if you go, obviously, for the paid version, then it would be unlimited. You can upload an unlimited number of papers per day. So that is why lots of these tools actually give you like a free trial, like a 7-day trial or a 10-day trial or a 30-day trial, whatever it may be. And you are able to see, is it something that's going to be of benefit to me? So yes, it is paid, but generally the cost is not too much. So you just have to see which would be the best tool for what you're looking for. Things such as Perplexity, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, they all have free versions, which allows you to actually use most of the functionality. I think with Perplexity, if I'm not mistaken, you're allowed to upload about 10 files per day. Let me go through this picture here.
And
one free
can you see
import
the
left for today.
screenshot?
Yes, I can see it. I can see it. One free import left for today. When I went through it previously, it told me I had 5. So let me check on that. I could be mistaken. I apologize. But it allowed me to upload quite a few papers. So I'll just go through that, okay? But thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yusuf. I appreciate that. Okay. In terms of our reference management tools, many of us will be familiar with EndNote. I'm not going to go into too much detail. EndNote is actually a fantastic program. We are able to download it off Ulink, and I would recommend it to any person who is writing a thesis, writing an article, whatever it may be. It allows you to download your citations directly from Google Scholar, and then you can import that into your library, and you can insert it as in-text and end-text referencing in your journal article, your thesis. The good thing about this is that if you are done with your first draft and the next revision comes in and you have to add in further references, it automatically obviously shifts the references numbering once you insert new references. And then the last point would be it also allows you to actually change the referencing style. So if you go APA versus biochemistry versus Harvard, whatever it may be, automatically at the click of a button, it adjusts your entire reference list. So it saves you a lot of time. I think many of us would be aware of this, but I thought it would be strange for me not to at least mention it. Then we go on to connected papers. Many of you, I would suggest that you guys go and view this website. It's actually very good. I found it to be quite useful when I find a paper And let's just say it's on a specific topic that there isn't much generated about. You actually go and insert the DOI, or you can insert the title of the paper into the website, and it will actually show you related papers in the form of a web, shall we say, a connected web. So if we come to the end of the session and anyone's interested in actually viewing it, then I can actually go through that. So this is actually a tool for exploring citation networks and related research papers. It works similar to Google Scholar if you say related articles. However, I found it to be much more effective and in terms of what the outputs are. It also helps to identify key papers, trends, as well as research gaps. So this is one functionality it has that obviously Google Scholar does not, as far as I'm aware, the last time that I used it. Then we go on to digital research tools. We can speak about BioRender and Canva. I just want to put a disclaimer out there that BioRender actually is a paid service. They do have sort of like a student version, if I'll say, but I think that's only for a few days. You do get a trial for like 14 days or something like that there. So you can test out to see once again if it's something that's going to benefit you. I think it would be quite nice in terms of a research group. So while these subscriptions may be quite expensive for an individual, if you look at it in terms of signing up using let's just say if you have a general email account for your particular research group, if that is something which is allowed, then it will actually make life much easier, because what BioRender actually does, it allows you to develop specialized scientific figures and diagrams based on inputs and prompts. So basically, if you are studying a particular pathway, if you are trying to say a graphical abstract, whatever it may be, if you want to put something like this here together, BioRender actually does it quite nicely for you. It works very, very well. So I would highly suggest that for those of you who may go through and use, have to create these diagrams. We all know how long it can take for us to put these pathways and these specific diagrams together. So please check it out. Something I highly, highly recommend. And yeah, hopefully it'll be quite useful. And the next thing I'd like to talk about would be Canva. This is more in terms of when we are presenting our research. So Canva actually has thousands or hundreds of thousands of templates on its site. I'll say, let's say tens of thousands, right? Just to be safe. It has thousands of templates on its site, and this ranges everything from flyers, posters, infographics, to academic posters, to presentations for defense of your thesis. They have a lot of different templates available, and all you do is you go on, you select a particular template, and then you populate it. So I think the two that actually would be important is, let me just continually talking. I can go through two of them, right? So we'll go here onto the website. I think what would be nice. So this is an example of connected papers, right? I did mention this previously. So let's go in here. So if we are trying to search by a particular paper, so I'll just quickly go into my downloads, open up the paper, and then just copy that, close, we go back, and you say build a graph. So this is going back obviously to connected papers while I'm here currently. There we go. And what we see is that it actually will show you a link of all other papers. And these are some people who are actually in my, or were in my previous lab as well, who we've done similar work with. So I can attest to this output actually being very accurate. Lots of these
Sorry,
people are
Doc.
actually, yep. Is there a question?
We don't see your screen, or am I the only one, colleagues?
Okay, let me just re-share it, right? Sorry about that. Thanks, Nkosi. Here we go. So you guys able to see now, hopefully? So what we do is we'll quickly go on to...
Not yet on my side. I don't know, colleagues, you can confirm if you can see Dr. David's screen.
Yes, I can see it from my end here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, Kosim. Maybe it's just okay. So, colleagues, this is what we will do, right? We go on to connected papers. You literally go Google, search connected papers. It takes you to this. You may have to sign up, but there's no like anything in terms of finances. It's literally with your email address, and then you get an account. So let's just say you have found a paper that is key to your study, right? So I'm just copying and pasting something I've taken off previously. And then you can go through, when you put in your first suggestion, it asks you which paper are you choosing to build your graph around. So we can go gold nanoparticles in transferrin targeted, so and so. And then we'll see the map that actually has been produced, all from emanating from this central paper. So this will be your central paper, and it tells you the relationship. So basically, my paper is connected to a paper that was done by a PhD student before me, which was Safia Habib, and her paper was thereafter connected to, we can go through, say, Joseph or Naidu or Singh, who was our direct supervisor. So what it does, it actually allows you, and you can actually scroll down the list here to find those particular papers. There we go. Lots of people from our own research group. So once you have this, you can actually go and search for these individual papers as well. It works very accurately, and it's something I would highly suggest as well. So BioRender, I'm not going to go into, because obviously we understand that's a paid version. So the last thing I'll take us through here is going to be in terms of Canva, and this is in terms of our presentation. So let's just say you want to develop a new project. We all understand that, working in the lab may sometimes be much easier and nicer for many of us than putting together a project, putting together a presentation, because if I think about myself in terms of creativity, it's something that takes a lot of time. Some people, it just comes naturally to, right? So we go on to create a design. What type of design we like to create? So let's just say we want to create a poster for a conference. You go on, you click onto that, a blank draft comes up, and thereafter you can go through different templates. So I've actually got a paid version of this. I'm actually doing the 30-day free trial at the moment to see if it is actually worth it. And it seems to be quite nice so far, to be honest. So we can just say, we can search for academic poster, if I can spell that correctly. And press search. And then what we'll see is that a whole lot of templates in terms of, there we go. Just zoom in here. We can choose the specific template that we're looking. We can change the design, the elements, the text. If we want, we can even change the branding colors, obviously, to reflect that of UJ or our particular research group. And all you do is you can go in there and you can populate your text. So makes life very easy, very simple. It lays it out for you, aligns everything for you. At a click of a button, you can change your font, or you can change your layout. You can even switch between different formats as well. So this is something which actually can save you a lot of time as well. I think the paid version is like 110 Rand a month, which is not too bad in the grander scheme of things. Okay. So I'm approaching the end of the presentation. Apologies that this is taking a bit longer than usual. So hopefully you guys can see my screen again. And then we're going to go quickly to optimizing our research workflow. So basically, we've discussed about streamlining literature reviews and data management. So by combining AI tools for efficient literature searching, it allows us to develop summaries. We can use reference managers such as EndNote to automate citation and any issues relating to our reference lists, and also employing visualization tools to interpret data and research landscapes as well. And that will deal more with like Python, but we would like to go through that in a separate presentation because that can take quite a bit of time. So in terms of how does it enhance collaboration and remote research, the first one will be your cloud-based tools, which allow real-time collaboration and data sharing. Many of us will be familiar with this in terms of using documents that many people can edit if it's a paper. So many authors can work in the paper at the same time, as a simple example. Then we've also got role-based access and version control to manage multi-author projects. This would be something relating to either your papers or something like your project management system, such as Trello, and the use of digital platforms to overcome your geographical and time barriers. Obviously, if we're doing collaboration, we don't have to keep emailing each other. We can each work on the document while it's live. So quickly, we're approaching the end of this presentation. We'd like to quickly go over some best practices and ethics in using digital research tools. Just remember that this was obviously an introduction. If you would like us to go much more, if you'd like us to go more in detail in terms of specific tools that you've identified or software that you'd like us to go through, please feel free to pop us an email, and we would be able to put that training together for the PDRFs, or obviously any supervisors or staff that may be present as well. So whenever we comes to using AI, we understand there's ethical considerations, especially in terms of using these tools. So things to consider is that always maintaining your data privacy and confidentiality. Do not ever go and put sensitive information up on any AI tool. There are lots of, how do we say this here? There have been instances where people may have put up sensitive information which is related to a particular project, and that afterwards, somehow got out. It could be through various different avenues. So just be careful what you put into these AI tools. Generally use it to obviously generate your outlines, that sort of thing. Don't necessarily use it to analyze any of your data. I wouldn't recommend, unless you read through the terms and conditions and you have clear instructions from the people responsible for the data itself, especially your research group. Always ensure transparency and reproducibility in AI-assisted research, so save your prompts. And always, if you're using AI to assist you in writing a particular piece, or if it's using in literature searches, you can also reference the AI tool as well. And obviously, always avoid plagiarism and ensure proper citation practices. Don't ever use AI to write for you. Obviously, number one, it doesn't help us in any way in terms of developing our own skills. And obviously, it will be picked up by AI detectors, which obviously will lead into plagiarism and further steps after. So we don't want that. And always, we're going to use proper citation practices and go back to the original source. That would be for a different presentation. So in terms of using these digital tools continued, we would regularly update and back up our data. This is something that we all do, I'm sure. This is an important point. If you are using it to generate an outline for a literature review, shall we say, don't just rely on one tool. So I would open up 4 or 5 different AI systems. So you can use Perplexity, Scite, Elicit, DeepSeek, and you can find another one. And what you will do there is you will open up 5 of them on 5 different tabs. You will draft your first prompt, and then you will copy the same prompt against all 5 of them, all 5 of the AI programs. And once they do their research, then you compare between them to see, obviously, it gives you better accuracy in terms of your output. So because you have the domain knowledge, you'll be able to see what is actually useful and what it isn't, and it allows you to structure something that is much more well thought out. The reason why I'm saying this is because we need to understand that while AI is actually a very useful and powerful tool, it is limited in the fact that any biases that the people have in terms of those who train the AI models will actually be present in the AI model itself. So therefore, just be aware, use multiple different tools at the same time, copy and paste the same prompt that you have developed, and then analyze your outputs to give you the best chance of having a good output. It's always important for us to stay informed about tool limitations and biases. We've just discussed that, and engage in continuous learning and training. There are so many videos, tutorials, seminars, workshops out there in terms of generative AI and research. We're also planning on doing one that's a bit more in detail in terms of the pros and cons, what are some of the limitations and the pitfalls for us to watch out for. So please keep an eye out for that. And, we always, all of us always want to learn. So keep doing that. So in terms of the summary and key takeaways, we understand that digital tools are transforming research efficiency, improving collaboration, as well as communication. AI-powered assistants like Perplexity, DeepSeek, Elicit, Scholasty streamline complex tasks, and I should put there complex time-consuming tasks, allowing us to be more efficient in our everyday work. We've discussed about reference managers and visualization tools. So reference managers will be like EndNote. Visualization tools will be BioRender or Canva, and there's many other examples out there. Everything I've discussed today is what I have personally used and what I found to work well. So please feel free to do your research, obviously, and you may find a tool that works even better for you. And feel free to share that with us as well, because we'd like to obviously share that information with as many people as possible. And then we've also discussed some of the ethical use and best practices in terms of using AI in any form for research and how to ensure that it is still effective. So with that, I would like to thank you all for your attention and thank you for joining in on this session. I will leave the floor open to any questions or contributions that you may have. So please feel free to join in, or any comments that you may have in terms of the presentation, how we can improve it, or any of the sort. We really would appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
Dr. David, for such a very informative session. I don't know if the colleagues do have questions. If you do have a question, this is now the time. Just unmute your mic and ask a question, or if you do have any contribution or any experiences you might have, or alternatively, you can just type under the chat and then we'll go through your comments. Just to ask Dr. David, and then how one can determine which type of tool they can use, probably if they are analyzing data.
If you're analyzing data, well, it will depend on what type of analysis you're trying to do, right? So if we're looking at, let's just look at, you're looking to generate your stats, then obviously we would use what you can use, like SPSS, depending on your data sets, that kind of, sorry, I'm just trying to read something, that kind of tool. So in terms of data, I'll be honest with you that I don't recommend that we actually use it to analyze our results to tell us what to write. I mean, you can use a tool to analyze your data to generate stats, but I would shy away from using AI to actually, or any of these tools to actually analyze your actual data, unless it is something such as you are developing a particular piece of code on Python to identify trends, trends, shall we say, or patterns in large data sets, then that is something that you can do. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Nkosi.
Yes, it does, Doc. Now you were doing a comparison between DeepSeek and what is it? Is
Perplexity.
it
Perplexity.
Perplexity? Yeah.
Yes.
Between the two, and then which one do you recommend for just a research, probably for a literature review?
Okay. For a literature review, I personally prefer to use Perplexity. The reason being is that if we use that framework that we've discussed in terms of the CREATE framework, right? What you can do is in your adjustments, like, the extra statements that you're going to put, you can say, please only use, and I think we've discussed this previously, please only use material from peer-reviewed sources, which can be found online. And we can say you can also include textbooks, and you can also put in a prompt there, please also add links for these references. And I find that it actually structures your answers much better in terms of DeepSeek. So that's just my personal opinion. Someone else may use DeepSeek and see that it's actually better than Perplexity, but I would actually prefer to use Perplexity over DeepSeek. There are obviously limitations in terms of what each of them can do. So you will just have to evaluate that based on your specific needs. So yeah.
And all those is it available on a paid version or even on a free version? I can have access to everything that we have just mentioned.
In terms of Perplexity and DeepSeek, they both have free versions. The paid versions allows you a bit of extra functionality in terms of a greater number of, for example, if you are telling it to generate an outline and you want to upload a couple papers, Perplexity has a maximum of 10 papers per day, which can be uploaded on the free version, which I find is actually, it's quite a lot, right? And what you actually, if you go on the paid version, then obviously you get unlimited upload of papers. But in terms of the output, there is no limitation between the free version and the paid version, as far as I'm aware. So DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of these have free versions, and I find that they work very well. I use the free version. I've just created a profile so that my previous prompts and outputs actually are saved in your library. So that makes it quite useful. So if you work on something today and let's just say your computer shuts down, when you go on tomorrow, you log into your profile, your prompts from the time that you started will all be present there. You can search between each of your prompts and you can obviously copy paste and re-edit those as well. So it works very nicely. I would highly suggest if you're looking to get into that space and start using these tools to start off with an example of Perplexity. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Doc, for that. Colleagues, if you do have a question, just unmute your mic or just raise a hand, and then Dr. David will be happy to take your questions. In the meantime, I've shared an RCT management system link on the chat. Please do register for the workshops that are upcoming starting from May. We will be fully using the system. It's available on your U-Link under the services. The last option is RCTMS. We are also open to those that will need assistance with the registration of their profile if they are receiving any errors or any glitches with their registration. Just type in your email and then we will schedule a Teams meeting with you to assist you with the registration. Another thing, we do have upcoming workshops on this month, for this month of April, and now on research and methodology. On the 22nd, we do have an introduction to quantitative research methodologies that will be facilitated by our colleague from StatCon, Dr. Anesu. And on the 24th, we have a survey design and data collection techniques, which will be facilitated by Ms. Jacqueline de Klerk, also from StatCon. And on the 29th, we do have two workshops. The first one also from research methodologies, advanced statistical analysis tips for researchers. That will be facilitated by Dr. Tebogo Moloi, also from StatCon. And the last one will be introduction to digital tools for academic presentations, tips for supervisors and PDRF. That will be facilitated by Dr. Lorenzo David. So be look out on that flyer, and please, colleagues, do register for those upcoming workshops. And we will be offering a new flyer or sharing a new flyer for the month of May. So I see that we do have a comment or a question from the chat, Doc, by Dr. Esther. We need more explanation on the use of a reference manager called EndNote.
Okay, thank you for that, Esther. What we can do, Nkosi, if I'm not mistaken, we do have some resources in terms of going through EndNote on the Moodle communities, correct? Or can we do hands-on? Yeah, sure. I don't have EndNote loaded on the system, but what we can do, if those of you who would actually like to, we can have a short session, right? Something like half an hour. And what we can do is that I will have EndNote downloaded onto because I need it to be downloaded onto my laptop. And then we can schedule a session for next week. Nkosi, would that be okay?
Yes, Doc, that will be okay. And then those colleagues who will require that training, we can definitely provide it. And also, please do visit library, UJ Library. They are also offering a training on EndNote, workshops specifically for EndNote trainings, as well as the installation process and everything. So they are offering that service as well. So if you visit UJ Library, they even have videos on how you can go about it from installing up until to the usage of EndNote. So, but we will definitely provide that workshop in the upcoming week or so.
Thank you for that, Nkosi. Thank you. Yeah, so please go onto the website, like Mr. Nkosi says, and if you still have any issues, but we will just say sign in next week to help anyone who has any issues with the system and
Yes,
just
I
to
see the
navigate it
hand
easier.
by Dr. Yusuf. Sorry, Doc, for that.
Yeah, no problem. Please, Dr. Yusuf, go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. David, for the wonderful presentation. I hope I'm clear, I'm audible enough.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So in addition to those tools you have, actually I do have a question. I just want to appraise the visual power of using BioRender as a tool.
Okay.
Because it was one of those tools I used during my presentation for my Viva. So it's very important in terms of the designs I was able to came up with and added to my slide. And also, if you don't mind, for like maybe 2 minutes or a minute, I can just share my screen to just showcase what
No
I'm
problem.
referring to. So can I do that?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
But I don't think I have the option to share my screen.
Let's just see. Are we able to allow the attendees to? I don't see that. I'm sorry, I don't see that.
No, Doc, I can make him a presenter and then he will be able to share his screen. Let me just
if
go.
you can. Yeah, thank you, Dosi.
Okay, Dr. Yusuf, you are now a presenter. You can share your screen.
Okay, great. I'm about to do that now. Sorry, a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so can you see my screen just now?
Yes, be able to see your screen.
Great. So this particular figure is illustrating about my materials and method, and I was able to came about it using BioRender. So in a way, it provides a kind of holistic view of what I did, and people looking at it were able to grasp my explanation as compared to me just saying it without demonstrating it. And I also have another diagram here. So this was also obtained using BioRender. And in addition to that, I also got this from BioRender, though I supply some of my pictures, but some of these pictures right there that illustrate the instrument was obtained using BioRender. So it's a very important tool for researchers to be able to communicate their research. And thank you so much for opening insights on them and being able to advise on their use to improve our research work and streamlining research workflow too.
Thank you, Dr. Yusuf. So it's good to see that, these tools are obviously being used by some of us, and it's something that I obviously I recommend. And if it's paid versions, sometimes we just have to evaluate, whether it's going to be worth or not. But it's good to get feedback from people who've actually used their systems in terms of their Viva, etc. So thank you, Dr. Yusuf. Are there any other questions from any other members of the audience? I'll hand over back to you, Mr. Nkosi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. David, for such a very informative and practical presentation. Colleagues, if we don't have any questions for Dr. David or any comments or input, we are about to officially end the session. Just a reminder, kindly take your few minutes and fill in the evaluation feedback which I've shared on the chat. Let me just reshare it again so that you can easily access it. This feedback help us colleagues in terms of improving our services as well as organizing a workshop, and also to give feedback to our facilitators, because we get facilitators from different departments based on their expertise regarding the topic or the discussion. So we have to give them feedback as well as to report probably for annual reporting. So we value your feedback a lot, and also to improve our services and see where we can improve as a unit to offer better services for postgraduate students, PDRFs and supervisors and academic staff at the UJ. So please take a few minutes and fill that in. And if we don't have any question, Doc, any last word from you? Probably if you want to close with something, and then we can officially close the session.
Okay, thank you, Nkosi. I'd just like to thank everyone once again for attending these sessions and for joining us and for your input. We really do value it. I'd just like to add that if there is any specific training that you would like that we can probably put together, please feel free to pop us an email. I think our email addresses should have been put in here. You can email us at Supervision Course, or you can also contact Mr. Nkosi Ntuli, or myself, and we'd be happy to put that together. But other than that, I just want to wish each of you a fantastic and safe long weekend, or Easter weekend, and we hope to see you all in future trainings. So thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Nkosi.
Thank you, Dr. David, and thank you so much, colleagues, for attending. We know some of you are traveling today or tomorrow, so we value your time for taking your time and attend today's workshop. It's really made a difference, and it means a lot to us for us to organize more workshops of this kind. So thank you for taking your time, colleagues. Remember to register for the RCT management system. If you need any assistance, just type under the chat your email address, and then we will schedule a Teams meeting to assist you with the registration. Remember, in May, all our services will be moved to the RCT management system, which is the platform that is available under the services on your ULink, and then the last option is RCTMS. The system have all the workshops, upcoming workshops for months, 2 months prior, and you can also access all the previous workshops as well as the recording and the presentation, and able to access our events that we are hosting, book for events, register for workshops, and attend and generate your own certificate of attendance. Remember, those who have been attending from March and Feb, you will be getting a certificate via the email. Or however, going forward, you will be now generating your own certificate via the RCT management system. So if you do need any assistance regarding that, kindly send us an email, and then we'll be happy to assist you. With that being said, colleagues, we can now officially end our session, and wishing you a happy Easter holiday. And those who are traveling, travel safe and come back safe as well. We will meet on the 22nd with the workshop that will be offered on that day. Remember to register for those workshops on research methodologies. The communication will be shared. And yeah, thank you for your attendance, colleagues. You can have a great day further and a happy long weekend. Thank you.
Yes, goodbye, everyone.
I see a comment from Dr. Tsandiwe. I think we have a workshop on that. Dr. Lorenzo, if I'm not mistaken, we do have a workshop on the NVivo.
Yes,
I think I saw it on our upcoming workshops. So be lookout
Yes.
on the flyer. That workshop is surely on our schedule. Probably, I think in May or June, we have scheduled that workshop. Thank you for that, Dr. Thandiwe.